But next week, things will be a little bit different. So next week, the 27th, we will have Kids Club, but we won't have adults and youth. And no, one reason we're doing that is because the 28th, we're having our community Maundy Thursday service at the fairgrounds at 6:30. The 29th, we're having our Good Friday service here at church at 6:30. The 30th, we'll have our Easter egg hunt in the park. I don't know why I couldn't think of the word park, but 30th will be Easter egg hunt in the park, and then 31st will be sunrise service here, breakfast, and then our Easter service. So we're going to have 4 straight days to where we're pretty busy, and so we're going to give everyone that Wednesday evening off so they can have a little bit of a break, and then just after we made that plan, I kind of realized that they told me I was doing the community service because I was the new guy, and then I'm doing all the other ones, and so I would prefer to do 4 straight days and not 5 straight days too. So, and I hope you all appreciate that. But we have all those things coming up, so be looking forward to all of those. Like I said, this week is a normal schedule. This Sunday is a little different because this is our March for Mission Sunday. And so we have the Kreifels here, and Grant will be, or Garrett, I looked at the wrong person. Garrett will be giving the message this morning, and they are the Camp Joy directors, and so be looking forward to that. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off by having our normal offering time, and then I will turn it over to Denise for the children's portion of the service. So if those that are helping with offering would like to come up. All right, well, we'll go ahead and open in prayer. Dear God, we just thank you for this day. We thank you just for the ability we have to not only tell people about you here, that we have the privilege of being able to support people as they minister and they go forward with the gospel throughout the world. And I pray that, and as we go through this morning, God, Lord, that we would remember the heartbeat of why we go and we tell others, that we would just allow you to be present, whether it's in our songs or whether it's in the message, and that the money that we take up during this time, Lord, that you would just bless it, and that you would also bless up the mission banks that we take up later. And we love you, and we praise you, and we're thankful for everything that we have in Christ. And it's in his name we pray. Amen.
In the darkness, we were waiting, without hope, without light, till from heaven you came running. There was mercy in your eyes to fulfill the law and prophets.
on blue. There we go. We're going to have you guys stand with us, if you would, for this first song. It's called Go Into All the World. And partway through the song, the kids are going to come out into you. The girls are going to come to the girls. The boys are going to go to the boys. And they're going to pick up our offerings. And then they'll bring it back up here and dump it in the buckets. Our offerings go to Garrett and Mattie Kreifels at Camp Joy. And they'll go throughout the whole month of March, because the kids club is having a challenge to see if the boys get more money or the girls. And the girls won last year, but the boys informed me that it was unfair because all of our kids club teachers are girls. So if any of you feel led to give to the boys instead, we'll try to make it a little more fair. So anyway, if you'll sing with us on this song, and then like I said, the kids are going to come around to you and pick up the offerings. Yep, they're going to come to you. Okay. Anybody want a microphone? Oh, hot dog. I'll give them to you. You guys want to share? No? You want to share with her? You don't want one? Do you want one? You want one? Well, come over here and sing with. Come over here and sing with Journey right here. There we go. You want to hold it together? Can you hold it? Or want me to hold it? Okay, there you go.
Yeah. We can both talk.
We live in a great big world that needs to hear about a great big love. We need to tell the story to every little boy and girl. We gotta go, go, go. Jesus said to go,
Go, go,
We need to tell the story
go.
of Jesus and his love. So go,
Go, go.
go into all the world.
Go, go, go.
Teach the good news.
Go, go, go.
Go into all the
Lord. Go, go, go.
Teach the good news. We live in a great big
Big
world
world.
that needs to hear about a great big love. We need to tell the
Story.
to every little boy and
Girl.
we gotta
Go, go, go.
Jesus said to go.
Go, go, go.
We need to tell the story
Story.
of Jesus and his love. So
Go, go, go.
go into all the world.
Go, go, go.
Teach the good news.
Go, go, go.
Go into all the world.
Go, go, go.
Teach the good news. Yeah. We live in a great big world that needs to hear about a great big love. We need to tell the story to every little boy and girl. So go, 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 go into all the world. Go, go, go. Teach the good news. Go, go, go. Go into all the world. Go, go, go. Teach the good news. Jesus
send. Here I am, Lord. Is it I, Lord? I have heard you calling in the night. I will go, Lord, if you lead me. I will hold your people in my heart. I, the Lord of snow and rain, I have borne my people's pain. I have wept for love of them. They turn away. I will break their hearts of stone, give them hearts for love alone. I will speak my word to them. Whom shall I send? Here I am, Lord. Is it I, Lord? I have heard you calling in the night. I will go, Lord, if you lead me. I will hold your people in my heart. I, the Lord of wind and flame, I will tend the poor and lame. I will set a feast for them. My hand will save. Finest bread I will provide, till their hearts be satisfied. I will give my life to them. Whom shall I send? Here I am, Lord. Is it I, Lord? I have heard you calling in the night. I will go, Lord, if you lead me. I will hold your people in my heart. Oh, I will hold your people in my heart.
All right, if y'all want to be seated. So we're going to do things a little bit different today just to make sure that Garrett has enough time to get through everything that he would like to share with us this morning. So with that said, I will turn the service over to Garrett. So this is the first time we have got to meet. I think the plan was to eventually meet before this, but I think it just has not worked out schedule-wise. But he is the director at Camp Joy. His wife, Maddie, teaches at Alma, or Alma. I don't know how y'all say it. All right, it's Alma. All right. We're not weird. It's Alma. Okay. So So his wife teaches at Alma. They have a little boy. So I think he's slowly waking up. And so we're glad to have them here and looking forward to what he has to share with us this morning.
Alrighty, I'm gonna need assistance. All right, there we go. Ooh, I'm bigger. All right. Well, I am Garrett Kreifels, Camp Joy. Been there. This will be my 3rd year of camp. Yeah, is that right? Historian, thank you. Yes, that is correct. All right. This is my 3rd year at camp. This is my 2nd year here. We missed you last year. We had a kid and all sorts of things going on, so we were a little busy trying to hit up as many people as we could for churches, because we do like to travel and see you guys, because without the churches, we wouldn't have anything. So we really appreciate everybody's support, and we always want to go out and tell you guys what's going on, because nobody likes a mission that you don't get to see, right? You hope it's going well. You hope you hear good news. Sometimes you don't. So we think it's an encouragement to go to the churches and say, hey, we've got some good news. So let's talk about camp last year. Camp last year, we had over 300 kids. We had about 20 more kids last year than we did the year before. That year was almost 30 kids more than the year before that. So we are growing quickly. We had more staff this year, which is incredible. We always appreciate that. And if you know anybody that wants to be staff, let me know. Absolutely love to have whoever we can come out and staff, help out the kids, learn how to serve. That's always an important part. But we had a lot of staff. Our staff are starting to be experienced. They're starting to learn. This year, I think I only had to handle 1 or 2 pee beds. Otherwise, my staff are like, hey, I know how to do that. I'm like, then you can do it. I believe in you. So our staff are doing great. It's an encouragement to see them. It's always an encouragement to get a Snapchat from one of them, because they will send me like a picture of them with their new Awana kids or something. They're like, look what I'm doing now. I'm like, go get it. That's awesome. We got more support as we were able to travel to some churches. I had a couple of churches that I talked to that said, hey, I thought you shut down like 2 years ago. I'm like, no, we're still open. Send your kids, please. So we were able to just reach more churches, reach more areas that are nearby. I won't tell you what town or place it was, but it is within like 20 miles of the camp. So a little discouraging to hear that people didn't even know we were open. So we were able to get more support last year, though, so that is awesome. Last year, we did a theme of dynasties for the kids. Called it Dynasties, Heirs to the Throne, because we are heirs to the throne. You know, we are grafted in, we are adopted, and we always talked about the adoption process in that time. Because these days, you know, we see it in the movies, we see it there, you know, kids are made fun of all that. In the Roman times, you were adopted, you were by blood. Nothing. It was as if you were born from them. Nobody ever knew the difference. That was adoption. You were there. So we talked to the kids about that. How it's not just like, you know, the jokes of the time are the redhead adopted stepkid or whatever you want to throw in there. You are full. You are completely in his family. And then we got to talk on the flip side of the identity for these kids on coming to Christ, but now the kingdom that he was building. The kingdom he continues to build, the perfect kingdom. So the kids not only got to see coming in, but now what? Now we're building a kingdom. So the kids had a great time. We had a lot of sword fights, obviously, if we're going to do dynasties in kingdoms. My favorite was blindfolding the high schoolers, spinning them around a few times and having them with their boppers, trying to hit each other, you know. That's a fun sight to see. If anybody wants videos, we have plenty of them. They were hilarious. And nobody got hurt. Throwing that one out there. Last year we had a wonderful problem, though. Absolutely awesome problem I love to have. Intermediate camp, I turned almost 30 kids away because we were full. We could not handle any more kids, which is, again, a great problem. So this year, we do have some things that we're doing to combat that, to help kind of spread things out. The class below it was, I think, 2 kids from being full. so it's not like we can push them down. The class above it was about 5 kids from being full, so we can't push them up. So we've come up with some new strategies, but it was an awesome problem to have last year where we had too many kids, which is awesome. One of the ways that we're combating this is in the next few years, we are building a new girls' dorm. The current girls' dorm, most of the buildings were actually the barracks buildings from when they were building the Harlan County Dam. So you know how long they were intended to last. And how long they have lasted is an incredible work of God and nothing less. So we are excited to start working on it. This fall, our plan is to pull out some of our current buildings that are unused and start prepping the grounds and possibly have a foundation made. The foundation we wanted to go with is we want to make it a concrete box in the bottom so we have an actual storm shelter. Because as of now, if you've been out to the camp, it's underneath the chapel is where our current storm shelter is. I don't know if you've seen the windows all the way around our current storm shelter or the fact that I might blow on that building wrong and it might fall over. So we are excited to have a storm shelter on that. That is one of the big things that we're really pushing for. It's going to make it a little more expensive on our part, but we think that it is important for us to have a safe place for the kids. It will fit almost 60 kids, which is more than our current dorms are capable of, in a comfortable session, right? We're not trying to make it on the cheap. We're not trying to make it made out of paper mache and steel shingles that we found on the road. So it is a little expensive. We don't have an exact price yet. We're working with the architect right now, but since we are on core ground, we have to get extra engineer stamps and all sorts of other things. So we are in the works of it, but the fall is looking like our groundbreaking time to get stuff done. So if you know anybody that loves to build buildings, let us know. We always need help. Another future thing we're currently working on is our newsletters. Some guy is very bad at them and getting them out, so he's trying really hard to do quarterly and right after camp have another one. So currently we've had 2 newsletters go out. I've gotten 2 returned because this address doesn't work, so I need to work with somebody, but I did bring one with me. So I will drop it off with you guys. One thing you can do, though, is if you have an email that you read, if you go to our website, you just put your email in, and every time I put out a newsletter, you will personally get your own newsletter every time. On the website as well, you can look at all of the previous, which is 2, newsletters. So you can go back, you can read if you're just getting into camp, if you just want to see what I had said as a time frame before, you don't have to keep all the paper copies, you can just go back and look. So I would encourage you to sign up for that if you're interested. We have a few of the needs at camp, obviously. Camp always has some needs. Number 1, we always need more speakers. One of the things I really like to see is for kids to have a diversity of voices in their life. As much as I love pastors and youth pastors, if the kid only hears from that one person, they're probably missing out on a little bit. Right? We have our own biases and tendencies. That's just kind of the way humans are. So hearing a variety of voices is awesome. So what I don't want to have to do is have the same speaker every single year a kid is there. 4 years of the same guy can get a little boring at camp, right? So I like to have a diversity. If you know people who are interested in speaking, especially with the younger ones, let me know. Because we would love to have some more voices to pour into these kids, for them to be able to see a few more people. One thing we really encourage with speakers is families. We love it when the family comes with, because a lot of our kids are unchurched. They're coming from broken families, broken homes. So for them to see the speaker get done and go out and talk to their wife, talk to their kids, have an actual family, these kids look at that. And you would be amazed how many kids ask questions in the dorms like, what's with that? Why does that work? They have a ton of questions about that. And so it is always encouraging for them to see the speakers and their families. Because for me, when they see me and my family, they're like, yeah, that's the director, whatever, that's that guy. He's kind of crazy. So it's a huge encouragement for them. Another deal is that we have churches come and provide a supper, and they get to come serve it. And that has historically been one of my favorite things because the amount of kids afterwards that go, why are they here? Doesn't your cook get paid? Why aren't they doing their job? Why is somebody else coming to serve us? And we get to open these lovely questions to the kids about what serving looks like. Why do we serve? Why do people serve them? What's that about? That's a new thing for them because a lot of times in their life, all they see is, well, yeah, the kitchen lady is there to serve me because she gets paid to be here. It's her job. That's all. They can write off those personal experiences with people working with them to just, well, it's your job. You have to. My teacher, she's here because she gets paid. Doesn't have to be here, right? So those volunteers really open the eyes of the kids, and it is awesome to see them just unraveling what that looks like. We also have a couple of work days coming up. As it gets nicer, we're looking more like end of April, May. We need some power washing done. We need some gutters done. We need painting. Oh my, if you know a painter, bless your heart. I hate painting, so I will gladly pawn that off on somebody else. But we have all sorts of needs. So if you have some sort of skill that you're good at, please, we would love to have you volunteer. We always have something going on. Camp takes a lot of maintenance. So if you know anybody that is interested in a work day, I have those all in the newsletter, and it's kind of plastered everywhere when we're going to have them. I will have more details on what exactly we're going to try to tackle as we get closer to see how much I didn't get done before it's time to go. So another deal we have is Men's Day, which we started last year. I have a nice little flyer for that you can hang up. Men's Day, where we have guns, we have God, we have meat. That's it. All right? That usually gets most of the guys, though. So we have a good time of fellowship. It's been, I've been instructed to say the younger guys, younger kids, and the wiser guys, right? Can't say older. They get mad at me for that. So we have a time where we come in the morning. We have archery set up. We have throwing knives. We have cornhole. We have all sorts of manly man things going on, and a good time of fellowship. Coffee and donuts, obviously. Can't have it without those. So we have a good time of fellowship in the morning where we just enjoy that being open. You can do what you need. You haven't pulled your bow out in a few years and you need to get it sighted in. We have everything marked out for you. You have some throwing axes that you never get to use. We have some targets for you. We also have a ton of those things. All right, so it's an encouraging time. We have a message. We have a lovely lunch that's provided by our camp cook who does an awesome job. Meat, potatoes, some sort of dessert. It's an exciting experience. Afterwards, we go skeet shooting over in the field right next to us. We went through 9 boxes of rock last year. We had 25 or so guys all shooting over the soap slide. It was awesome to watch. If you don't have a shotgun, you're like, I can't go because of that, don't come anyway. Some of those guys brought 5. I don't know why. They are excited to shoot their guns, but they would gladly loan you one. So that is on April 13th, and I have a flyer here that I will leave here for you. Another deal we have is the camp supper. Raise your hand if you've gone to a camp supper before. All right. 1 or 2. So we are trying to open the supper a little bit more, make it a little more inclusive, give it a little more life, because currently we have about 2 churches come, and there's an auction on 2 items. So it goes really well, as you can tell. This year we are trying to auction some more things, so we need to have a couple more churches. We're auctioning flower beds across camp. Camp is either green, or it is brown, or it is a white building. So we have grass, we have dirt and gravel, or we have white buildings. So this year, there are quite a few areas that are terrible to mow. They are perfect in the sun. They're on a corner. We're going to block them in, and we are going to auction off these spots. If your church wins the auction, your name, your church name, or your name, if you personally auction, will be put on the pedestal in the flower bed, and a portion of what you donated will go to the flowers to get planted. You can choose colors. I might choose variety depending on what place it ends up being, because I don't want your flowers to die. But we're excited to start doing that because we'd love camp to see some color, but also maybe spread some things out and have a little lower of an auction. We have a big meal that everybody gets to enjoy fellowship with each other. We have the director, that's me, and the board members all come together. We talk about business. What does this year look like? How are things going? We also talk about having board members. We are starting to get low on board members, and we are interested in finding some more. So we're going to look at that. We're also going to vote on our current board members, stuff like that, and business that we have to get done. And lastly, one of the big things we're going to talk about is by then we're going to have a lot more detail on the girls' dorm. So we're going to kind of unveil a lot of the information on that, our price point, what it's going to look like. We do have some renderings, some pictures. We're excited to share those. So it will be an exciting time. If your church or you are interested, please RSVP to me. It's nothing special. Just tell me you're coming so that we make sure we have enough food, because we always like everybody to get to eat. I am killing more of my time than I appreciate. All right. Couple of needs we still have also is camp money, obviously. We are able to keep our prices low for kids. It's about $110 for a high school kid. Now, if you've had a high school kid, I know personally I ate more than $110 per week. All right? So we'd like to think that it's kind of a deal. But that is because we get donations that help us keep the doors open, that help us keep the lights on, and it is because of the church support that we're able to do that. So we thank you for that. And then personally, Maddie and I do run on our own support. We raise all of the support we have. She thankfully works full-time at the Alma school. Don't shoot her, all right? But I mostly work at the camp during the off-season, during the planning season, because there's a lot of construction. We've done bathroom remodels. We're doing construction projects. We're digging out a septic tank. Oh boy, right? So I spend most of my time out there, so most of my living is through raised support. I do get a sub at the school sometimes, and that is an awesome chance to get in with the kids, but we do raise our own support. All right, camp next year. We're adding 2 more weeks of camp because we have too many kids. Where our staff is a little young and inexperienced, they're getting there. They are really getting there, but not quite yet. So if we can lower our numbers, spread it out a little bit, that's easier on the camp. Also, it leaves room that we can say, hey, this one's full, but you can go over here, which is awesome because we don't want to turn any kids away. So those new weeks are outlined in, I brought some brochures. They're also outlined online. They say they're new, it's big letters across it, right? So they are Junior Plus and Intermediate Plus. All we did is we added another week of Junior, where it has one more age group above it. So instead of being 3rd and 4th, it is 3rd, 4th, and 5th. You have a friend group that has one kid on the high end, one kid on the low end, it'll work. You have family that wants to go all at the same time instead of splitting it up, that'll work. We're looking to help people be able to come to camp. Because nothing worse than really, really wanting to go to camp, but it turns out that that missions trip is on the same week. Well, now you have a different week. Go over there. So we're excited for that. We have a couple of retreats that go on. We have winter retreat. We have fall retreat. I want to add some more retreats as we get going. So keep your eyes out for that. That's mostly for high school, junior high kids on a weekend or something to be able to go out and just get away for a minute. All right. Then this year, our theme is construction. No particular reason why. Not that we're building any buildings, but we, looking at it, looked at the wise man and the foolish man building their house on the rock. So this year's theme is Camp Joy Construction. We have a big old construction shirt that says, "Do your building on the rock," because we thought it was kind of funny. But it's also really serious. So if you have your Bibles, can you turn to Matthew 7 for me? We're going to start in verse 24, building your house on the rock. But we're going to talk about right before it real quick, get us caught up with my second favorite C word, first one being cake, second one being context. Context is super important. So the Pharisees had been talking to Jesus. They're talking about entering the kingdom of heaven, the final days. They've done all these big works. They're the Pharisees. They helped this person. They did this thing. They did this miraculous thing. And Jesus is telling them, "Depart from me, workers of lawlessness. I never knew you. I don't know you." So when he gets done talking about that, he talks in this parable to them. So he's talking to these Pharisees that think they have these awesome things that they're doing. They're like, all for God, we're so great. And Jesus is telling them, no. When you get there, you're going to find out that doesn't work. Which seems backwards to them. It doesn't make sense. So let's look at verse 24. Everyone who hears these words of mine and does them will be like a wise man who built his house on the rock. And the rain fell and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, but it did not fall, because it had been founded on the rock. And everyone who hears these words of mine and does not do them will be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell. And great was the fall of it. So he's talking to these Pharisees about building their houses. We all build houses. That is our lives. We build our lives. The things we do. The Pharisees were talking about their houses in this parable. They're talking about their good works. Awesome. There's your kitchen. They're talking about their good deeds, that they took care of people. There you go. There's your living room. They talked about the miraculous work. There's the miraculous work of having a roof done. Right? They're building their houses. And Jesus is telling them, you fools, you built these houses on the sand. You're building them on the fact of doing good works, not for God, not in Christ, but just to build houses. So let's look at what we can do to build houses, what we do to build houses. We do big works, we go help, we volunteer, one time I donated so that person could have a roof over their head. That's awesome. That's a great big work. That impacts that person so much. Our daily lives, how we interact with people. Are you kind? Are you filled with grace? Are you nice to them? Or do you turn around and you're mean, you're cruel, you get after them, you gossip? That's our personal lives. Our private lives. When you're home alone, what are your thoughts? What do you do when nobody else can see? Your religious life. Do you go to school? Do you go to Sunday school, rather, every week? Every Wednesday night? Every Bible study? Every Sunday service? We have those. So those are all things that you can build your house on, right? Who would say those are bad things? No, right? We would consider them good things. All right. But then we have the foundations that those are built on. All of these good things are built on top of something. Now, there are a lot of healthy tasks, healthy things to do that are bad foundations. And this is something that the kids really struggle with, and I think we really struggle with too. Because we see them as great, awesome things that we need to do, but they should not be our foundation. We're hoping kids can learn this. One of the big things I know personally with my generation is self-help. Man, I think half of the books at a bookstore right now are some sort of self-help book. How to be a better father. How to be a good wife. How to be a loving grandparent. How to be a good kid. No kid has ever bought that, but plenty of parents have given it. How to be healthy. How to eat right. How to take care of your physical body. How to work out, so on and so on. These are good things, right? We want to be good husbands. We want to be good wives. Some of you might want to be good kids, right? They're good things, but they're bad foundations. If everything you do is to be a good husband, but you don't have Christ, it's going to fall. It doesn't stand. When you bring that to the pearly gates, Jesus, I was a good father. He's going to be like, cool, who are you? Oof, it's rough. I was a good wife. Okay, who are you again? Doesn't work. Another big one that kids really struggle with because they see adults searching after this is politics. Politics are important. They're a big part of our lives. They officiate everything we do. But if it's built on that, Lord, I made all of these laws after you, he's going to go, but where was I? If it's not founded on the rock, it doesn't work. And kids, everything they hear about is politics, especially from a lot of the adults that they care about and they look up to. They don't hear Christ, they hear the problems. And that's hard for them, especially with younger kids that just do not understand. All they know is that Biden bad. We do that, we're good. Where's Christ? School, academy, college, all of our systems that we take part of. Who wants their kid to do well in school? Me, I do, right? Who's excited when they get a 4.0 GPA? They score a perfect score on the ACT. They get a full ride scholarship to UNL, and then they're an awesome Husker football player that wins the Heisman 4 years in a row, and we are actually good for once. Everybody wants that. That's exciting. That's good. Is that our foundation? No. We have two more. One is science. We can build our lives on fact, on logic. We can build everything around that. We can look at the world and see it as a factual number. That's good sometimes. We do have to have some science in the world. God has created a great and wonderful world, and we are observing it, and we are learning from it. We are learning how things work. We can look at a magnet and say, hey, if we flip it over, it's going to go apart. We flip it over again, it comes together. That's awesome. God made that. He made that system work. But that's when we forget God did that. It isn't an awesome part of the world that we did, that we created. God already made that. That's already there. So it's a good thing to learn what God has made. It's awesome. But ultimately, our foundation is God. It keeps coming back. Lastly, this one's hard for a lot of people, is religion. Your religious life, what you do, not as a spiritual life with God, but rather what you do. You're going to church. You're volunteering. Your morning devotions. Are those dedicated to God? Are they built on the foundation of loving God? Or do you do them every morning because that's what a good Christian does? Good Christian goes to church every Sunday. Or are you going to church every Sunday because you're seeking God? Because you love God? That one's hard. It's hard to introspect and look at how you do things. Are you reading through the scripture because you're really looking for an edge on somebody else? Looking for that thing to defeat the other person? Or are you looking for God? Are you searching for something to help yourself? Or are you looking for God? Now, the foundation of God makes these things awesome. Sunday is a wonderful day, full of fellowship, communion. You guys get together as the people of God. Nothing more exciting than that. It's awesome. But if it's built only on that, it's superficial. It falls away. It falls apart. Many people have seen many churches that get really, really big. They're doing all these awesome events, stuff like that. But when you look deep inside, it's not built on the foundation of God. It's built on community. It's built on getting together. It's built on each other. But sadly, each other are fallen people. We're fallen beings, right? We don't work. We sin. We're gross. So if we're not building on the foundation, these things fall apart. So this year when we're talking to the kids, we're talking to them about all of these things. We want to tell them and be explicit. Number one, that the foundation is God. What does this foundation look like? How do we build it? How do we look at it? How do we apply it to our lives? How do we find that foundation to build on? And then what do we build? What do we build on top of that? All these things are good. We should build them. I'm not going to tell a kid to do poorly in school. I'm not going to tell a kid to disobey their parents. All right? But what I am going to tell them is that isn't the base. The foundation is always God. We have a couple of things coming up this year that are a little different that I wanted to tell you about. Number one, we have switched our program for the third time in a row that we take registrations on. This year, I've bought a hammer to hit the nail. I'm not using a wrench to hit the nail. We are not using a screwdriver and a fan to figure out how to hit the nail. We bought a hammer. So this program that we are running now is built for camp. It is built to handle our problems. It is built for registrations. Who here has ever signed more than one kid up for camp before? All right? Perfect. One. That's okay. This system allows you to make a parent account, make kids' accounts underneath you, so that you fill out your information one time. You do not fill your information out. Let's say you're signing 7 kids up 7 times. Your information's always there. You set up your kids. You sign them up for the camp. It goes awesome. You get the packing list sent to you. It's an amazing thing. Next year, your kids' information, it didn't change. You don't have to fill anything out. Say it looks good. It's way easier for a lot of parents to handle those situations. Number 2, it's easier on churches. We have a lot of churches that do a sponsorship for their kids, or they have a bunch of kids that they send to camp. This system allows me to make a code for you. The parent puts the code in for your church. I collect all of the bills, and at the end of the year, I can talk to you. You can pay online. You can send me a check. Doesn't matter. That way, churches don't have to fill out all the paper forms or gather all the paper forms. The parent just fills it out, and the church can do it later, which is awesome. We can do any percentage of scholarship. So if I know a kids club that is doing a 50% scholarship for any of their kids, which is awesome. So we made a code for them. That way, parent signs up, they pay for half of it. At the end of the season, cuts off. Church talks to me, we make it work. It's a little bit easier. So if you have any questions about any of this, please. Emil is getting so used to staying after church an extra hour. It's his life. His dad isn't a pastor, but by golly, he's going to live that life. All right. We do have a handful of brochures. If I run out of brochures, I'll go get more. I have like 500 in the truck. Please take brochures. Love to see it. I have a newsletter and a couple of flyers to put out. I don't know where you guys put those out or anything like that, but if you'd like to see them, we'll figure it out, I'm sure. Can I pray for you guys? Lord God, thank you for today. Thank you for this fellowship, this gathering of believers that wants to worship your name, that wants to see you glorified, that recognizes you as the King. Lord, I pray for the summer that it goes well, that kids are able to see you, they're able to meet you, that all the day-to-day needs are met, but ultimately that those kids are able to pair with people that can lead them to you, that can show you through their lives, that can love those kids. Lord, thank you for all of the support from this church, for this gathering of believers, Lord. Thank you for the support in prayer. Thank you for the support in finance and help. Lord, thank you for all of those things. And I pray that this year goes well and that many kids come to you. In your name I pray. Amen.
Well, thank you, Garrett, for coming and sharing that with us. I've shared stories from my childhood before, and you probably heard several that involved church camp and me getting in pretty big trouble. And so I've gotten in probably the biggest trouble I ever got in because of church camp. I've had some of the best moments of my life because of church camp. And one of my favorite summers was when I got to work as a staff member at church camp. And so it's a good ministry, and it's one of those things to where it does attract a lot of people that don't necessarily or wouldn't necessarily come to church simply because of where it's at. And so they do a great work of reaching people. And so if you would like to, remember to hang around after service and talk to them. But what we're going to do is he's already prayed. So what we'll do is we'll stand and we will sing our final song. And when the song is over, you will be dismissed. Does that sound like a plan? All right.
There is one gospel on which I stand for all eternity.
gospel